Hello everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of Dayspring Discussions. I'm your host, Sean McGahee, and this is a show we talk about movies, TV, sci-fi, fantasy, comic books. If you geek out about it, we're going to talk about it. As always, I am joined by the ever-enchanting Miss Lisa Locke McGahee. Lisa, say hi to the lovely people out there.
Hello.
Alright guys, so this is your first time listening. This is how the show goes. I'm going to run down some news in the world of geekdom. Usually start off with some Marvel, then move to DC, Star Wars, and Harry Potter if there is any. Then we go into miscellaneous. You guys fire back on social media and the Gmail account. Let us know what you thought. And what are you doing?
Moving the stool so Marcy can lay
Moving
down.
the stool. Okay, yes. And as always, we're joined by
our sweet dog,
Marcy, who likes to lay by our feet.
Yes.
She's getting comfortable now, so we can hopefully start the show. Okay, I think she's settled.
And just in case it happens, we are in a different location in our house today. And we're at the front window so if a dog happens to walk by the front of our house, our dog may or may not go absolutely crazy.
So be prepared for loud barking at some point throughout the show, guys. It just might happen. Just bear with us on that. Okay? Cool. Alright, so starting off, of course, with some Marvel news. I've been really excited. I've been waiting all week to talk about this first show, or this first story. As you guys know, I'm a big X-Men fan.
Wait, what? You?
Yeah,
X-Men?
I know, right?
What?
I know, right? The show is named after a X-Men reference, so anytime there's X-Men news that comes up, I always like to lead off with that. And we did have a good piece of X-Men news, a little juicy morsel that I'd like to spend a little time gnawing on here. So, as we know, Fox has announced they're coming out with 3 X-Men related films next year. They're going to start off with X-Men New Mutants in April, going to do the Deadpool sequel in June, and then X-Men Dark Phoenix in November. Now, that is said to be a direct sequel to last year's X-Men Apocalypse. And kind of rumors are swirling around as far as, who's coming back, who's not. So, last week it was announced that they're expecting the veteran cast members, Jennifer Lawrence, Michael Fassbender, James McAvoy, and Nicholas Hoult, all to come back to reprise their roles in the film, along with the new members like Sophie Turner, Alexandria Shipp, and Ty Sheridan, and their roles too. Now, another thing as far as this is that Bryan Singer, who's directed the last couple X-Men movies, is not said to return. Now, they announced last week that Simon Kinberg, who has produced and written quite a few of the last couple X-Men films, is signed on to be director for this film, and he has never directed a film before. He's done a lot of projects, written a lot of stuff. He's even helped write and produce the first season of Star Wars Rebels, so he's very experienced in that matter, but he's never actually directed a film. This will be his first directorial debut. And the third piece of news that came out last week is that the studio is looking at Jessica Chastain to play the lead villain in this film as Lilandra. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with the character, she is the Empress of the Shi'ar Galactic Empire, and in the comics, she is ex-wife to one Charles Xavier. They met during the Phoenix Saga, fell in love, got married, and then got divorced. That's a whole story that we won't go into right now. But she's usually considered an ally to the X-Men a lot of times. This one, she's considered a villain. Now, this partially has to do with, in the actual Dark Phoenix Saga storyline, she was against or trying to kill Jean Grey for, becoming the Dark Phoenix and possessing the power of the Phoenix with that. So that's probably why they're thinking of her as a villain. Now, producer Hutch Parker said earlier this year, quote, "Our hope and expectation is to try and do something that feels different, that takes the audience into a different tone and a different sense of cinematic style that is appropriately suited to the story we're telling." For those of you who don't know, the Dark Phoenix Saga was briefly touched upon in the third X-Men film, X3 The Last Stand. But kind of done so horribly that they're looking to take this reboot in the X-Men franchise and retell the most famous X-Men storyline again. Hopefully correctly, given the fact that if they're bringing Lilandra, it means they're going galactic, which is what's suited for the original story of Phoenix. So, like I said, a lot here to chew on. Before I go off on my tangent, I'm going to give Lisa a couple things to talk about. Let her have her piece. So starting off with returning cast members. Mm-hmm. What do you think about the main 4 characters returning for this You know, I gotta say, I think I would call it. We were watching it, the X-Men films Sunday. Would you call it the X-Men prequel trilogy?
Kind of.
Because you had First Class, Days of Future Past, and then Apocalypse. And it's kind of, by the end of Apocalypse, we kind of have the start of kind of the X-Men we know, as far as Jean Grey, Storm, Cyclops, kind of what we got at the very beginning of the first X-Men film.
Yeah, I guess you could kind of say it's like a prequel trilogy.
I mean, it's more of a reboot, because it's not going to be like that connects directly. They're not going to lead into that first X-Men film, because we're in a different timeline. So, in any event, okay. Returning cast members, what do you think? Do you think all 4 of them should come back? Do they need to come back? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for the people that are coming back. I mean, I thought that was, you know, in the new films, the casting that they did for those young characters, I thought was really great. I mean, I liked them. I thought they all did. I'm not a huge fan of the guy who plays Nightcrawler.
Oh,
but I think it's just because I really liked the adult Alan Cumming version of Nightcrawler. So, like, I think it's just taking a little bit of getting used to.
Cody Smith McPhee.
Yeah, so, like, I think he's just going to have to grow on me a little bit.
Well, I think he's you know, he's young, you know.
I know. I'm just saying. That's the only one I thought that the young Jean and the young Cyclops I thought were really good.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm excited they're coming back. I wasn't expecting, I guess, James McAvoy to continue.
He's, out of all of them, he's the one I want to continue because he's Professor X.
Well, I agree. I wasn't sure that he was going to keep on with these films. Just because, you know, we've talked about before, he's a very high, I mean, kind of like Patrick Stewart was, but he's a high caliber actor. Like, he could do Oscar-worthy roles. And
they all are,
I know.
Be honest.
The kids are still kids.
Well, I'm talking about the veteran cast members. Jennifer Lawrence, Michael Fassbender.
Right, but I just think of all of them, James McAvoy is the one that I can really see, like, having, like, an Oscar caliber, an Oscar caliber career. Like, I mean, I think Michael Fassbender's great, and I mean, Jennifer Lawrence, I like her a lot, but, I mean, she's already won an Oscar, although I didn't see that movie, and I don't even, anyway.
Which one she won for? Was it American Hustle? A Silver Linings Playbook?
Is not the one she won for?
I think so. Didn't she? I know she was nominated. I don't know if she won for American Hustle as Best Supporting.
I don't know. She's won before, because I remember her dress like fell apart as she was walking up the stairs. Yes. Anyway, but I'm just saying, I think that James McAvoy has really, he is a very high caliber actor, and I really could see him doing Oscar caliber stuff. And I just feel like he's in a point in his career where he could be doing those movies. And so for him to choose to continue X-Men, I mean, you know, Patrick Stewart did it at the end of his career.
Not really. Patrick Stewart's still doing stuff.
Yeah, but he's old as shit. You know what I'm saying?
Whoa!
You know what I'm saying? It's like he is on the tail end of his career.
Okay.
I'm not saying he couldn't still do Oscar-worthy stuff, but he kind of is in that part of his career where he's like, I don't really care anymore. I do what I want. Where I feel like James McAvoy's in the point in his career where he really could be choosing things differently. And so I'm surprised that this is what he's choosing to do right now.
Okay.
Just because I think he could do, I mean, he does these so well. Like, I mean, we've talked about how in Days of Future Past, I mean, he
did great.
He gave almost an Oscar caliber performance.
We both felt like he should have got some recognition.
So I'm just surprised.
Okay.
That he's continuing to do these.
But you gotta remember too, they still do these films in between.
I know they do.
Because they're only on set for a couple months for each of them, and they still have plenty of time. Like, you know, he did, you recently did Split, which he's getting a lot of recognition for. Mm-hmm. So they have time to do other movies.
I know. I just feel like sometimes comic book films are kind of like stains on their careers in some things because they're not taken seriously by.
But much like how, Chris Evans has recently said about being Captain America, being Captain America has allowed him to do other things.
Yeah.
These are the big blockbuster tentpole films where if you want to get your name out there, you're in one of these movies and you get that recognition. And getting that recognition from one of these movies allows you to do the independent movies, the Oscar movies, and stuff like that. So, I'm not surprised he continues to do it. Plus, it's a good role.
Oh, yeah. So, and
it's a good role. For this part of the conversation, going back to the veteran cast members, there are a lot of people who, have criticized Jennifer Lawrence's performance in Apocalypse and sometimes Days of Future Past. My problem is, of course, the character is totally different from what she was or is in the comic books. Not that I'm saying they made her fit with this storyline. They made the character go along with it. It'd be like, it's Jennifer Lawrence, we got to put her front and center. So my only worry is now that we have these new cast members, Dark Phoenix is Jean Grey's story, Sophie Turner. She needs to be the focus. She needs to be the one who we go on this journey with. I'm just afraid by bringing Jennifer Lawrence back, the center's still going to be on Jennifer Lawrence, like it has been these last 2 movies, and I don't want it to be that way. James McAvoy, he's Professor X. He needs to come back. At the end of Apocalypse, Michael Fassbender walked away, so I could see, story-wise, him not coming back. Beast is still there. He's still helping train the X-Men. I can see that. At the end of Apocalypse, Mystique was there, so she was helping train them as well. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I would much rather love to see Jennifer Lawrence as Mystique kick the bucket. Mm-hmm. I mean, just to give her, to put her in the film and also taking away that character who has meant so much to this trilogy to so many people. I mean, she is, has been integral to these last couple movies to where she has, a strong connection to Beast, Professor X, and Fassbender. So, of course, taking her away would, be a lot of drama. Plus, again, I just have this feeling when you put her in there, you're going to take away from the younger kids, which is what this movie needs about. It needs to be about the younger kids. Now, taking away the fact that I don't even think they should be doing the Dark Phoenix yet, considering they just introduced the new Jean Grey and Cyclops and all that.
Right.
But
they kind of introduced it in the last one. They have to kind of do it now.
They introduced the idea Phoenix. Of the Phoenix. I mean, they could easily, in the, you're not to plug anything, but in the X-Men trilogy I have in my mind, where I would introduce the Phoenix in the second one, but then she doesn't go Dark Phoenix until the third. And that's what I feel like. You've introduced the Phoenix in Apocalypse. I get that. Mm-hmm. But give her more time. The main thing about it, too, is, of course, you need to develop that relationship between her and Scott more. Because part of the reason she, goes Dark Phoenix is because of her feelings and emotions the Phoenix is experiencing through Jean Grey, one of them being love for Scott, and, of course, coming up with jealousy and rage and all this other stuff. So that's what helped turn her Dark Phoenix. So you need to develop that relationship, I feel like, a little more before then, unless, given the fact that this, of course, is going to jump another 10 years into the future, they've already built the relationship, they're already together. I just want to make sure that they show that before shit hits the fan in this one, Mm-hmm. In my but I think, I'm just a little nervous. Jennifer Lawrence coming back, being a big star. I would just rather see, again, the focus needs to be on these younger kids, and that's regardless of what people have said about X-Men Apocalypse. People all agree that the younger cast looked good. Mm-hmm. They all, appear like they can do their job well, mm-hmm. and they all want to see more of them and see them take center stage in this next one, mm-hmm. which I totally agree. I want to see, McAvoy, Fassbender, have them take a back seat, and again, they're in less of the film, so like you said, they're allowed to do more stuff because they're not on set anymore. Mm-hmm. So that would be the way I would want to do that.
Yeah, I am surprised Jennifer Lawrence is coming back, just because she did seem to phone it in.
Well, it's weird, because, ever since Apocalypse came out, there's been conflicting reports where one time she said, I hate wearing the blue makeup, I'm done with that. Mm-hmm. No, I like being in these movies, I'll do it again. It's mm-hmm. been conflicting back and forth. Just as I'm sure she's probably changed her mind back and forth as well, too. Because it is a specific audience. Us geeks, we love these people who do this stuff, and most of us, for the most part, are very nice to them, and they feel the adoration and the love. So getting that fan base and interacting with them, I'm sure that it compels her to do more movies like this, just because she sees how many people enjoy it versus, say, a Silver Linings Playbook or an American Hustle, which name me name me 10 people that saw American Hustle.
Okay, I'm pretty sure more than 10 people.
I know, I'm just saying, in the general audience, the more people see X-Men than they would that.
Yeah.
Alright, so the second part of the story is Simon Kinberg directing the film, who's never directed a film before. What do you think about that?
I mean, I don't know. I think it's always... I think there's a lot of directors that have been involved in the films but have never directed before, and then when they finally get their chance to direct, they do an amazing job because, they've kind of been, amping up for it. Mm-hmm. And all the time they've been doing all the other things. I think that for me, the bigger thing is not having Bryan Singer do it, which I know is for you too a big deal because he really loves the X-Men.
My favorite X-Men movies are the ones that he's done. This is true. Matthew Vaughn did First Class, which I wasn't a huge fan of First Class, but I thought it was an improvement over some other ones that some guy named Brent Ratner did. But
yeah.
in any event, again, it's the fact that going back to, was it 2 years ago or a year ago when they were looking for a director to replace J.J. Abrams on the Star Trek movies for the third one of the names that came up was Roberto Orci, who helped produce and write the first couple Star Trek movies with Abrams, who had never directed a film before either. And yeah, he knows the world, but he's never directed a movie, let alone a high-budget movie like this before. So that's kind of the same conversation we're talking about here. Was, yeah, you can produce, but producing is different from directing.
That doesn't mean that they can't do it, though.
I know.
Like, you can never tell them until you give them a chance.
They can't do it, but it's just a matter of taking this movie that is going to be very high budget, that the studio needs to pay off, and are they really investing in this guy who's never directed a film before? Is kind of what the conversation is. Now, don't get me wrong, I like Simon Kinberg. I follow him on Twitter. Like I said, he's been involved with Star Wars and been involved, in X-Men for a long time. So I like Kinberg. It's just that question of, are you going to ask a guy who's, never swam a lap in his life before to go swim in the Olympics?
Yeah, but this is different. I mean, especially in a movie like this, it's not like he's going to be completely on his own. I mean, odds are all the assistant directors are going to have been involved with the other films. It's not like it's not like making an independent film where you are literally almost doing it by yourself. He is going to be directing it. Sure, it'll be his first time directing, but he's going to have a ton of people around him who aren't going to let him do anything real stupid.
I get you.
And surely he's going to be asking, Bryan Singer. I can't imagine they're not going to be in communication.
I think Singer, is probably going to still be producing.
Right. So, I mean, I think this is probably a good chance for him to get in and prove himself as a director, as opposed to an independent film where usually you're not just directing it, you wrote it, you did all that. There's a lot more pressure in those. Where this one shows a lot of pressure in terms of the financial impact of this film and how it has to be good, but he's not going to be doing it by himself.
And again, he has a lot of credibility. He's been on this X-Men franchise for a while. People in the studio know him. The actors know him. He's, again, I'm not saying he's more than capable and more than proved himself in the entertainment industry, and especially with this franchise. Excuse me. It's just a matter of, switching jobs, and, now you're taking the helm, so can you pull that off? And
I think we'll just have to wait and see, but I think he'll be fine.
As always, we'll just have to wait and see. All right, so the last part of the story is Jessica Chastain. Now, originally, a couple weeks ago, they were saying Angelina Jolie or Jessica Chastain. They were taking a look at.
Well, I'm glad they picked Chastain.
They haven't officially. They just said they're in serious negotiations with her.
Well,
which will be fine. So
I do not want Angelina Jolie to be in this
Jessica Chastain as Lander. I know you're not familiar with the character. I know you're somewhat familiar with the story of Dark Phoenix, right?
Well, I have watched the X-Men animated series with you.
Yeah, well,
over your shoulder on several occasions.
So you know kind of what's about, kind of what the character's about.
Yeah.
And I guess this is going to what I'm leading into this is they're going cosmic. Is what they're saying. And what have I said before? They need to go cosmic. The Phoenix Saga is a way into the cosmic realm of the X-Men saga. Just like Marvel used Guardians of the Galaxy to open up their cosmic realm, this is their way to open up the X-Men universe. You're going to talk about the Shi'ar. You can bring in the Starjammers, which, like I said, say that they're Fox's version, or could be Fox's version of Guardians of the Galaxy, and I really hope they're going to, use this as a way to do it. One thing I was thinking about just today, too, was, Cyclops guy. I'm always thinking about Cyclops. So in the last film, they took out Havoc, pretty much. I mean, we officially didn't see him die, but we kind of see him because he was just his whole point of being in the film was as a catalyst for Scott, to become who he's going to be, really, in that instance. But, with the Starjammers, that's Scott's dad. So you can definitely play on the kid who feels alone after his brother died, but yet he finds his real father, and play off that a little bit. But that'd be a good way to go with it, again, just to play with it. But I'm sure they're going to have a lot to do with it. But they're going cosmic. Do you think this is the best route for them, or should they stick more earthly?
Are we sure they're going cosmic? Just because they've announced this character doesn't mean they're going cosmic.
They have to bring in aliens.
You want them to bring in aliens. You don't know that they're gonna.
I'm just saying, why would they? If the lander turns out to be just some normal human who works for the government, I'm gonna be totally pissed.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, you don't know yet.
I'm gonna be pissed.
You don't know yet that that's not what they're doing. You just saw the character name and jumped to the conclusion that they're gonna do that character correctly. You don't know that we don't know yet that that's what's going to happen.
Too. They know they screwed this up in X3 The Last Stand. So if they don't do it right, I'm going to be pissed.
Yeah, but we'll see. I am just cautiously waiting to see how they play this out. Just because
I'm not even saying this could spin off into other films. I just want them to do this right. Now, that's the thing too, is what rules are we playing with? That's kind of my question is. So in the original X3, Phoenix was just a multiple personality Jean Grey had that Xavier set up a kind of a trap or a block in her mind to block her from reaching her full potential that eventually grew into a split personality, the Phoenix, which came out in X3. Now, granted, we're still playing, technically it's still the same world. I mean, the time has just, the slate's been wiped clean. So we're still playing the same rules. Shouldn't that still be it? Or, again...
Except what they showed us in the last X-Men is he wasn't trying to keep that hit. It was there. Like she said, she was more powerful than Jean. She was he had not hidden that power from her. Like in the original X-Men, from a very early age, he was trying to harness that, to keep it hidden inside her so she couldn't access it. And as a result, she had some power, but most of her power was kind of hidden away. She's much stronger than she was being allowed to be. Where in this new one, he's not keeping that from her. She's there.
Unleash your power!
But I mean, even before that, like with her nightmares and, how everyone in the school was afraid of her. Like, she was already much more powerful than the Jean was in the original trilogy. So already that time shift had changed the way that Jean's progression was going. So the thing is, and this is one of the reasons why I think they may not be going cosmic, is because Jean the Phoenix is already there. Inside of her. So, and it's already coming out, and they haven't hinted at any kind of cosmic anything. What they were showing in that one was that her power was there. That Phoenix is there. Yeah. It's already inside her. And then also, I think one of the reasons that they're not going to go cosmic is one of the things that people, the general population, likes about these X-Men movies is that they're very relatable. You can see the way that people treat the mutants. Just all the interactions are very human interactions. They're very down to earth. You can see you can see the mirroring to what happens in our world now with people that are different. You can, in race relations and different, Christianity versus everything else and whatever. Like, you can see it. And I think that's one of the things that people relate to in the X-Men universe. Where I feel like taking it cosmic is going to make it a little less relatable than it is right now. And people like the relatability. I'm not saying that they're not gonna, and I know in the comics people still like them and relate to them even with the cosmic aspect. I just think that they're not gonna make it cosmic because people like the relatability of the human interaction. That's just my opinion.
Okay. I see your point.
And I understand you'll be pissed if they do it wrong, but I'm just saying.
I definitely see your point of this. I'm going to counteract with 2 movies. Guardians of the Galaxy and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, which made a buttload of money.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the money, and that was different. The Marvel Universe was already not relatable because they already had Thor. They already had... That wasn't like the mutants. The mutants are different. The mutants are very relatable. Like, you can see that happening to people that you know.
People have opened up to the idea of going that route.
Yeah, I'm not... Yeah.
And that's why I think they're going that, or they should go that route, because, they Guardians of the Galaxy, popped the jar off, popped off the lid and opened it up to where, a mass audience or a general audience will be fine with something like that.
Yeah, I'm not saying that they won't be fine. I just think that because the mutants are such a human thing, I don't think that they're going to do it.
Okay. And another thing, just to talk devil's advocate, whatever you want to call it, with Jean, it could be one of those things where maybe the Phoenix got inside of her at a young age and has just been stewing since then.
Yeah, it could be.
And then the lander comes from space, and it'd be like, you have the Phoenix.
You would be able to find any way to justify why they are going to do what you want.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, I don't think they're going to do what you want.
Not justifying, okay? Showing them the way. If they listen to the show,
well, they're not.
I show them the way. Hey, they're possibly going cosmic, which I said, over a year ago, they need to do that. So somebody's listening to this show. Either that, or I've got psychic mind linked with Simon Kinberg.
Or they just read the comics too.
Exactly, and they know what they're doing. Hopefully, for once.
We will see.
We will see. All right, guys. Well, as you can see, we've gone on and talked about this conversation quite a bit, but I think it was, a nice little morsel to chew on, and we can move on from there. So, ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, other piece of Marvel news. President of Marvel Studios, Kevin Feige, and the head of Sony Studios, Amy Pascal, sat down and talked a little bit about Spider-Man Homecoming that comes out next month. Now, early review just came out yesterday, Spider-Man Homecoming, saying, quote, amazing. So, there's a little hope for you. But when talking about the other Spider-Man related films, aka the Venom film and the Silver and Black film, Pascal kind of hinted that even though it was originally said they may not be part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, this kind of counteracts what she said, saying, quote, well, those movies will all take place in a world that we're now creating for Peter Parker. They may be different locations, but it will still be in the same world. They will all be connected to each other. I think one of the things that Kevin has done with the Marvel Universe that's so brilliant is bringing the fans along and making each movie seem like a chapter in a book that you have to read in order to go forward. And I think the investment that the fans get to feel in being part of a larger story and understanding what's happening is something that I know Sony would want to emulate. Now, in Tom Holland's contract for playing Spider-Man, he signs on for 3 Spider-Man films and 3 non-Spider-Man films in that. 2 of which we know are going to be, assuming, Avengers films, which is Avengers 3 and 4. And then, of course, 3 standalone Spider films. So there's still 1 movie kind of up for grabs. We're not quite sure if his contract would exercise an extension or what that might be. So this kind of goes against what we've been talking about the last 2 months or so, is that this Venom and Silver and Black film are not going to be part of the MCU. This kind of goes against it. Do you think it's a good idea?
I don't really know. I don't really. I mean, we've talked before about how I don't think that these kind of villainish. I don't know that these Venom Spider-Man film characters without Spider-Man are going to work. So if he's not going to be in them, then
but so now this is saying that he is going to be in them because they're going to be part of the MCU.
Right, but that doesn't say he is going to be in them. His contract doesn't include him.
It says it doesn't include him, but he says where's the quote I had? It says where is it? Okay. Well, those movies will take place in a world that we're now creating for Peter Parker. They may be different locations, but it will all still be in the same world.
That doesn't mean he's going to be in them.
I mean, they're going to have Spider-Man in them. Whether it be Tom Holland or not, it's still going to have Spider-Man. But that's what I'm getting is the world we're creating for Peter Parker now, which means Spider-Man Homecoming, which means the MCU.
Right, but that doesn't necessarily mean Spider-Man's going to be in him.
Yes, it is!
Just because it's in the same world doesn't mean he's going to be in him.
He's got to be in him. Okay, why would you put it? That's the thing we've been talking about these last few months, is you can't do these movies without Spider-Man.
I agree, but I'm just saying that quote doesn't say that he's going to be in him. That would be like how in, say, the TV shows versus the movies. They're in the same world, but those characters aren't in them. The Marvel TV shows versus the Marvel... They're in the same world, but you don't see Iron Man. You don't see Iron Man. You just hear, hints about him. There's posters about him. This quote just says it's going to be the same world. So they might be able to mention something Spider-Man did, or see a commercial with Spider-Man, or a news story. Yeah. But that doesn't mean Spider-Man's going to be in him. I'm just saying, it doesn't say that. It doesn't say that.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
I'll give you that. Okay. I will give you that. I think it'd be a wasted opportunity.
I agree, yes.
You go to see a Spider-Man related film and you don't see Spider-Man in it. The general audience might be a little upset about that.
They've been talking about doing these films before we knew this. It was already kind of slated, and I already thought it was a weird idea, but... So now they're confirming that they will be at least in the same universe, but this didn't say Spider-Man's going to be in it.
Exactly, and it goes along. I totally understand what you're saying, much like with the Netflix shows where they're in the MCU, but they mention the events of the first Avengers film as the incident.
Right.
But again, you don't
there.
see any Avengers or anything like that.
Exactly.
So, okay.
So I'm just saying.
All right.
Okay.
I totally understand. I'm right there with you. I got you.
All right.
I still would like to see Spider-Man in them, of course.
I mean, I just don't think they need to make him at all. But I'm not a big Spider-Man fan. I mean...
No, I disagree with the version of Venom they're going with, and I like the character of Black Cat, but, again, they don't... The best thing about them is their interactions with Spider-Man. You can't have them just by themselves, because the thing that makes them interesting is their conversations and how they interact with the web slinger.
Yeah.
So.
But, I mean, I just feel like a lot of the studios now are trying to do that. They're trying to do movies without, with the side characters, without the main characters.
Yeah.
I mean, DC Universe is talking about it. I just think it's a weird idea in general.
Yeah, I agree. Again, because, the thing that, most of these characters, like you said, the side characters, what makes them great is their interaction with the main character.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. I think we can move on from there since we're, running low on time. So it is now reported by the Hollywood Reporter that Danny Elfman will now score the Justice League film. Now, the former artist known as Junkie XL, who's been working on the score following his work on Batman v Superman, looks like he will no longer be doing it, I guess. No one's quite sure if this has to do with the fact that Joss Whedon is now taking over for Zack Snyder. But Whedon and Elfman have collaborated before on 2015's Avengers Age of Ultron. Now, Elfman is kind of a legend in the music composing world. He's worked on many different things. In the superhero genre, he composed Tim Burton's 1988 Batman film and the follow-up 1992's Batman Returns. He's also done work for Edward Scissorhands, The Simpsons, and many other things to go.
Danny Elfman's great.
Danny Elfman, yeah, he's I'd say he's up there with number 2, next to John Williams, perhaps. He's as far as recognizable, he's got his own thing going on. But this is just a story where, again, Whedon replaced Snyder as director. Now Elfman is replacing Junkie XL as composer. Do you think it's maybe have to do a tonal shift in the film now that Whedon's on board?
Could be. I mean, I told you this is more than just a few little pickups at the end. I've been saying that.
Yeah, well, they said they're going to be doing reshoots the whole summer.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm telling you. This is not just someone coming in at the last second to finish things up. He's making some changes, and
there has been reported about that where there's some not just your average reshoots, more major reshoots, which I totally understand. It could have something to do with the fact that maybe now, of course, because of the success of Wonder Woman, they're going to add more Wonder Woman to it.
I don't want why do they have to be so reactionary, though? I mean, I hope that that's not the case. Even though I love Wonder Woman, I hope that that's not the case, because they have got to stop being so reactionary. I just want Joss Whedon to... I mean, I'm happy that he's going to fix it, but I don't want him to fix it in a way that reflects Wonder Woman being good. I want him to keep making the movie he thinks is the best movie, regardless of what Wonder Woman was.
I agree.
And I think he can do it. I think this is a good sign.
He's not the kind of director to be pushed around like that anyway. Given his history with Marvel and how he walked away from after Avengers: Age of Ultron because of some of the choices that were made, and I think Warner Brothers wouldn't ask him to do it unless they knew they were going to get the Joss Whedon way.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
So, but Danny Elfman stepping in. I mean,
I think it's great. I love Danny Elfman. He's awesome.
The Junkie XL guy, I did enjoy the score for Batman v Superman. I mean, I've got a few songs on my iPod, so I think it does have some stuff. I mean, he's the one that made the Wonder Woman theme. He's that guy, yeah. So give him credit for that.
I wish they would have had it in the movie more. It was only one time.
Give him the credit for that, and if it's again, there's so much up in the air about this film, what they're doing, what they're changing. We don't know, but of course, adding a talent like Danny Elfman
can't be bad.
Can't be bad. So good. All right, so that is it for DC News. I forgot to introduce the DC News, but
okay.
It's okay. Before we step out of the world of superheroes, just a quick little story we can talk about. Filmmaker Jonathan Landis, who has brought us such films as Animal House, The Blues Brothers, and American Werewolf in London, was talking to Ireland's Entertainment, IE, and kind of talking about the current status of superhero films and Wonder Woman and stuff like that. He said, quote, "One of the reasons Wonder Woman was received so well by the critics is that it doesn't destroy cities. Even the superhero stuff is on a very human scale. It's the gods. We're not seeing skyscrapers tumbling." And when later on in the conversation, he was talking about the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He said, quote, I'm bored shitless with the Marvel Universe now. All the superheroes tend to be interchangeable, and you always have this mass destruction of cities and huge computer-generated extravaganzas to the point where you could take a reel from any of the Marvel movies and put it in any other and nobody would notice. They're very well made. It's just they're the same thing over and over again. But I don't know, people are still showing up. So, a very well-known, and respected filmmaker in the industry says comments like these. I guess there was another thing yesterday I read where he was taking shots at The Mummy and Universal's Dark Universe as well. Mm-hmm. So maybe Jonathan Landis just needs to shut it. I don't know. But I brought
I think he's right, though.
I brought the story because he does have some good points.
Yeah, he has a lot of good points. I think one of the things, like, for instance, in the Marvel Universe, one of the things I liked about Civil War was there wasn't destruction on a grand scheme. It was more of a personal story. Exactly. It's like our complaints a lot with Man of Steel. Mm-hmm. Like, seriously, Superman just tears down the whole fucking city? Yeah. Like,
yay, thanks for saving us and destroying our city.
Saving us. Thanks for killing Zod and saving us, but our whole city is demolished. And how often does that happen? Like in the other event, the Avengers one, where that whole city got like lifted into the sky.
Sokovia.
It's like there's so many moments like that where you're like, holy shit, they just like destroyed everything. Or even the scene with Iron Man and the Hulk where he has to pull out.
They destroy that whole city.
They destroy that whole city. And I get it. They're powerful, and it sometimes takes. Like in the first Avengers, they're fighting those crazy alien robot things. Chitauri that are trying to and they're destroying the city. Yeah, I get it. Sometimes when there's big stakes like that, there's gonna be a destruction. But it doesn't have to be like that every time. And it's like we talk about too, where every time the movies get bigger and bigger, the destruction gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Where you look at, maybe I'm just Captain America as my favorite example, because his movies don't tend to have that kind of destruction.
They don't. He did have, the first one didn't have destruction. The second one probably was the biggest destruction-wise, just because of the fact that they were, trying to get these giant helicarriers out of the ground. So.
Right, but even that one, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, but even that, say you go from a movie like that in the second one, and then the third one, Civil War, downscaled it.
Yeah, I think the Captain Americas are a good example of how you don't need to have that large scale destruction. But it is, I get what he's saying.
Yeah.
We talk about that a lot, how it's like the same plot, kind of rehashed.
We talked about it, last week or whatever, when we talked about Wonder Woman, was, we enjoyed the fact that it was, a smaller scale, more personal, less characters.
It was like Captain America, which we also talked about. So I think that's just kind of what I'm looking at. My favorite in the Marvel Universe are, besides the first Thor, I love the first Thor. But other than that, the Captain Americas are our favorite ones, really. And the DC so far, the only one I've liked is Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
So maybe those links that I see in those two that I liked were part of the reason that those are the ones, because it is more of a human story. And,
people who, criticize the Marvel Cinematic Universe often have where, they're all very similar. I liked Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, but, it wasn't one of those things where that I felt, my favorite lately has been Civil War, because again I have a tendency towards Captain America, but also again, like I said, it is a very personal story. But the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which I totally get people's critique on it, is they're very formulaic. Look at the last couple introductions as far as Doctor Strange or Ant-Man. They all seem very similar as far as the structure of the story, the heroes, stuff like that, the jokes, all that. Which I totally get people's complaint, and I totally get what Landis is saying. So to that, people are still showing up. Maybe it says something about the audience. You can't really critique the filmmakers too much, because studios are there to make money, okay? And if they see something that's making money, they're going to do it over and over and over again until it stops making money, which is why you get the same feeling of movies over and over and over again. So I really can't credit the studios for that, but I do get what Landis is saying. Myself, I've become somewhat bored with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because again, I thought Doctor Strange and Ant-Man were fine, but they're nowhere near the excitement I got, at Phase 1 with, Thor or Captain America. Maybe that has to do with the fact that they was still introducing the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I was still just excited about that. Mm-hmm. But, I totally agree with Kevin, because I'm feeling some of that sentiment too.
Yeah.
So, cool. All right, so moving on, we have no Star Wars news, but I think Lisa wants to talk a little bit about her project on the Star Wars books. Give us an update.
So I think I only had one book left of all the ones that are out that I needed to read, and I cannot get through it. It's so boring.
Which one is it?
Battlefront Twilight Company. I can't. I was going to really try to finish it so I could, like, legit give you opinions on all of them, but I just can't finish it. So I'm aborting. I'm aborting that book. But so hopefully in the next week or so, I will start my reviews on all the books, because I've currently, at this point, besides not finishing that one, I should be just about ready to start.
Cool. Are you doing them book by book, or are you just going to do a couple general ones? Or
I think I'm going to do book by book.
Okay. So just write a book review on each one. It's been a while since you read or listened to some of them.
I know, it has been a while, so we'll see. I'll need some refreshers.
Okay, so you guys can look for that on the Dayspring Discussions blog site. Of course, we'll be posting that on the social media account as well, so if you want a link to find it, you can do that, and you'll be sure to hear about it once those go up. So, that's all Star Wars news. No Harry Potter news, so let's move on to miscellaneous news. And we're going to talk about Lisa's favorite subject, which is the Transformer franchise.
Oh, a little bit.
So, The Last Night comes out, I think, this weekend, I believe, June 24th, actually. They had I know the people from Collider Movie Talk went and saw a preview last night of it. So then we can start looking towards the next Transformers film, which is going to be a spin-off film, which is going to star everyone's favorite Transformer, Bumblebee. Now, some story points have come up of this movie to where not only is going to star Haley Steinfeld from True Grit and The Edge of 17, but the film is also going to take place in the past. According to Empire Magazine, they report that Bumblebee will take place in the 1980s and will feature considerably fewer Transformers, concentrating on the big yellow star and likely pitching a little younger tonally. The film is expected to begin shooting later this year and projected to come out in 2018. So, with that in mind, I'm officially getting excited for this movie. I know I don't want to be, because, you know, I have in no way even the least bit of inkling to go to the theaters and watch Transformers. But this film, I think, could be really different from what we've gotten of the last 3 or 4 Transformer films. Starting off with its director, who I'm looking up right now. Give me one sec. Travis Knight. He directed one of my favorite films of last year, the film I thought should have won Best Animated Film, which was Kubo and the Two Strings. So he got a point for that, okay? Now it's going to be Bumblebee in a much smaller cast, more personal story. We were just talking about that with, you know, the superhero films. Mm-hmm. Smaller cast, less characters, more personal story. Point number 2. Number 3, you got Haley Steinfeld. I loved Edge of 17. Great film. With her and Woody Harrelson, great film. Great actress. She's been good ever since I first saw her on True Grit. I didn't see her in Pitch Perfect 2 because I don't care to watch Pitch Perfect 2. But another point right there. And now we got Defecto Numero Uno Osimo Point 1980s. The 80s. Oh yes, the 80s. That's right. So we're going to take place in the past too. The 80s were the height of the Transformer franchise. Not to mention, people are saying, they talked about this on Collider Movie Talk, if they don't put Bumblebee as a actual, like, you know, Volkswagen Bug, which is what he originally was in the comic books, you know, in the 80s, people might riot. I mean, old hardcore fans might riot. New fans who really don't count, you know, they'll be fine with it.
Who don't count.
They don't count. They're the reason these bad movies are still being made, okay? But I'm not going to get into that. Anyway, going back to the 80s, smaller story, good director, good actress. There was this something I heard yesterday where they're comparing it to the film The Iron Giant, which is a tall order, but I can definitely see that comparison. So, you're sitting back, you're doing your thing, you're shaking your head. Give me some feedback. Come on.
It's still Transformers. I just can't. Until I see a good one again, I can't. I'm not getting excited.
This will be the first film without Michael Bay, too.
I don't know. I just can't. I'm not going to get excited.
People are having faith because it's not Michael Bay.
I'm not going to get my hopes up. That's the bottom line. I'm not going to get my hopes up.
Okay.
Also, too, I was not a huge Transformers fan in my younger days. I never had the toys. I didn't watch the cartoon. I don't think that animated movie is the greatest thing ever made. So what I liked
Blasphemy.
was the first Transformers movie that they made. I loved that movie.
With Shia LaBeouf?
Yes, I really liked that movie. I have not liked really any of the others. So I'm not invested in the Transformers world like you are. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to get excited about it until it turns out to be good.
Okay, well, that's your point, but I don't want to get my faith excited. I mean, it's one of those things where, like, the last couple Transformers movies, The Last Night and was Age of Extinction, okay? Even when I saw those previews, they didn't look good to me. The story didn't sound good. I didn't believe them. Mark Wahlberg as an inventor just sounded ridiculous, I think. But, this story premise sounds like it could have potential. More personal story, the relationship, much like you liked about the first one was, the relationship between Sam and Bumblebee. I think we're going to get that same thing with Steinfeld's character and Bumblebee, perhaps. And again,
we'll see.
One of those things that could hopefully bring it back and make it good. So we'll just have to wait and see about that. All right, guys, so we're running a little late. I have 3 stories left on my show notes to go through. Let's just do one more, and I'm going to let Lisa pick, okay?
Okay.
So we can talk. The first trailer for Netflix's Voltron came out.
I'm going to pass on that one.
All right. We have the idea, they're talking about doing a Sin City TV show rather than a movie reboot. Or The Hollywood Reporter talking about how Dwayne Johnson may play Wolfman in the Dark Universe for Universal.
I think we could probably talk about that one.
Okay,
that's probably the one. I mean, okay. I don't really have much to say about the other two. I didn't really like the Sin City movies.
All right, yeah, this one's so this one is the Sin City one. I've had a nose for several weeks, just haven't gotten to it. So this is kind of an old story, but according to the Hollywood Reporter, has kind of reaffirmed rumors that Marvel Studios is in pursuit to go after Dwayne Johnson to play the Wolfman in their Dark Universe or their Monster Cinematic Universe, you could call it, and that they're also, of course, still on track to have Angelina Jolie portray Bride of Frankenstein in their next film in the Dark Universe franchise. Now, neither actor has signed on, but supposedly Universal greenlit Jolie's 2015 film By the Sea to curry favor for her to play the title character in Bride of Frankenstein. So, these two actors they're going after talent. You gotta credit them for going after talent. Mummy has not been well received. I haven't watched it yet. I plan on watching it hopefully soon, but it has been well received. But what I've heard is that they do a good job of setting up the universe of the mythology of Dark Universe or whatever. But in regards to going after Dwayne Johnson, do you think he'd be a right fit for a film like, say, The Wolfman?
I mean, I think he'll make it fit if it works, but I just don't see him signing on for this. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, do you think he's going to sign on for this after the way The Mummy did in theaters?
I think he will. Here's what I feel. Dwayne Johnson, I love Dwayne Johnson. He's I mean, Baywatch is getting bad reviews.
But I liked it.
I thought it was entertaining. I love his show Ballers on HBO. A lot of his movies I don't, like the comedies, I don't watch just because I think the premise sounds stupid.
Mm-hmm. But they're not bad. I've seen a couple of them. They're not bad.
He is immensely talented and very hardworking. Oh my God. You see his Instagram page. He's like working out every day, doing, full shoots on his TV show or his movies. I mean, literally the hardest working man in entertainment, I swear. This would add another thing to his repertoire, but I think this would be a new challenge. Because Wolfman, allegedly, if you think of it like how previous Wolfman movies have been done, it's dramatic. Okay? He hasn't done drama yet. He's done comedy, he's done action, he hasn't done full-blown drama. I think if he's going to continue to grow as an actor and an entertainer, this would be the next step to add that little notch in his belt to show people, hey, I can do it all.
I mean, I don't disagree with that. I think drama is kind of the next place he needs to go. I just don't know if the Wolfman in this new starting monster universe that is starting off with a movie that people don't even like, I don't know if that's the best way to go in getting into the drama.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I just feel like his last few choices, I know Baywatch isn't getting great reviews, but his last few choices, I mean, his, like you said, that show, and then with Moana, and, with, he's
got several other things coming up, too.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't be, I guess, super surprised if he does this, but I don't think that he should.
Yeah.
I think you should find a different kind of drama to get in.
So then on the other side of it, what do you think about Angelina Jolie? I think fits the Bride of Frankenstein. That's fine. Again, it's supposed to be the next film coming out, or the next film they're supposed to shoot. Whether they will do so after The Mummy, I mean, I don't want them to hit the brakes. Like kind of how Warner Brothers has with the DC characters. Every time there's a little road bump, they hit the brakes and start to panic and, try to go a different direction. I don't want that to happen because, like I said, people they didn't like the film, but they like the setup of the universe. So I think they should still move forward with it. Again, it depends on what they're going to do with it. A lot of people are questioning the fact that they're doing Bride of Frankenstein before they do actual Frankenstein. A lot of people are also saying that Universal is really trying to bank on Angelina Jolie and her star power.
Yeah, but she doesn't bring it anymore.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, people are, referencing Maleficent, where it did over $1 billion. I don't think, it was...
People didn't really like it, though.
Well, the thing with that, the reason why that movie made money is it's a Disney classic character, too. Mm-hmm. It was Maleficent. People didn't like it, but people went and saw it because, not because I don't think because Angelina Jolie, they went and saw it because it was Sleeping Beauty. Mm-hmm. So, again, I think they're trying to bank a little too much on Angelina Jolie's star power when, besides Maleficent, what was the last, big budget, good film she was in?
I can't even remember the last one I saw with her in it that I liked.
I think maybe Wanted, which was way back, and way back when. But yeah, I think hopefully they've learned their lessons from The Mummy, but still continue forward from this point. As far as Dwayne Johnson, whatever he does, I'm fine with. He's making that Rampage movie, which I used to play that video game as a kid, but I think the movie's going to be totally stupid. The premise of knowing, again, I played the game, I know the premise of it, I think it's going to be completely stupid, but Dwayne Johnson is the kind of guy that can pull it off to make it entertaining at least. So, alright. Well, guys, that is it. We're going to cut off these last two stories. Maybe we'll cover them next week. Maybe we won't. Maybe I'll just do a little personal thing about the Voltron thing myself. Do a little one. Because, I know you're not going to have a lot to say about that. So maybe I can make a little thing of that just by my lonesome. But in any event, that is the end of the show, guys. Now it's time to let us know what you think. Hit us up, dayspringdiscussions@gmail.com. Hit us up on the Twitter or Facebook group. Let us know what you think. Do you think Dwayne Johnson would be a good Wolfman? What do you think on X-Men The Dark Phoenix? And, of course, let us know what you think about Danny Elfman taking over the DC Universe and Spider-Man. Villains not or will not be appearing in the MCU. We're not quite sure about that. But that's going to be it for us today. Lisa, anything else you want to add before we turn off the bikes and get on with our day?
Nope.
All right, guys. Well, that'll be it for us. So, until next time, may the Force be with us all.